Today is the last class for Halacha Yomi. Chod Echad, we will learn the laws of holidays next. Be'ezrat Hashem. Maybe we'll go to laws of Yom Tov, Srazu. Difference between Shabbat and Yom Tov. But let's finish up with the laws of Goyim, telling Goyim to do Melacha for you. There's more leniencies we need to discuss. And then we will end, Baruch Hashem, 140 classes of laws of Shabbat. Baruch Hashem. Okay, good. So, like this. We said that in the only case that you're allowed to do Melacha, ask a goy to do Melacha for you, is basically Shvut d'Shvut. Shvut d'Shvut means that you're telling a goy to do something is derabanan. Then the act that you're asking him to do is derabanan, Melacha. And then there'll be a case where you're allowed to ask him for different needs. Mitzvah, for a sick person, for suffering, for a loss. So let's give some examples of each of these. Okay, fine. Let's say, right, for a mitzvah, right, we said that the daven, right, to turn on the lights or the AC or the heat in the synagogue so people can pray and read the Torah. Then we have another situation, right, where it was psik resheh, opening the door to the fridge, even though the light will go on. You're not allowed to do that, but you're allowed to ask the goy to do that, because the concept of psik resheh, A, will definitely lead to B. Opening the door of the fridge will definitely lead to the light going on. That concept that makes it forbidden for us doesn't apply to a non-Jew. Therefore, you're allowed to ask him to do something that's psik resheh. We said even turning on the hot water to wash dishes. The goy could do it. You could tell him to do it, and even though you will wash dishes afterwards. Now, let's say somebody who's sick. 39 on page 380. A person who's partially ill and doesn't have to lie down on his bed and does not feel sickness through his entire body may ask a non-Jew to do melacha that is rabbinically prohibited in order to alleviate his sickness. But a person who's so sick he needs to lie down, even if he feels ill throughout his entire body, may ask a non-Jew to do melacha, even if it's a Torah prohibition. Right? He's a choleh that needs to be laying down, so you're allowed to ask him to do even goy to do Torah prohibitions. 41. One who's having intense toothache on Shabbat needs to be extracted, may have the tooth removed by a non-Jewish doctor. Let's say you have a Jew who is sick in bed and the light's bothering him. You're allowed to ask a non-Jew to turn off the candle or electricity for someone who's pained by the light. Let's say 43. In a place where it's very cold, one may ask the non-Jew to turn on the heat in one's home. If it's not extremely cold, it is only permitted to ask the non-Jew to turn on the heat if one has small children that could get sick. Similarly, if one has the AC running and the home got too cold, you're allowed to ask a non-Jew to turn off the AC. What happens if AC is blowing and it's too cold? People get sick. So therefore, you're allowed to ask a non-Jew to turn off the AC, lower the AC. Let's say it's extremely hot and it's very uncomfortable. It's permitted to hint to a non-Jew to turn on the fan or the AC. If he has no other option and it's too hot in the room, you're allowed, and it's possible to sufficiently cool the room by opening the window, then you're supposed to open the window and not ask for the AC. Okay. Let's say there's a lot of snow. Can you ask a goy to shovel the snow? Yeah, you're allowed to ask the goy to shovel the snow. Even you yourself are allowed to shovel the snow on Shabbat. Okay, what's another case? Shvut d'Shvut. Let's say a substantial loss. Okay, what you ask a goy to turn off an appliance because if you leave it on, it'll be a substantial loss. For example, someone left an expensive electrical appliance on over Shabbat. You're afraid it will be ruined or damaged. If you leave it on, you're allowed to ask a non-Jew to turn it off. But if you just want to save money on the electricity bill, that's not a substantial loss to be permitting to ask a non-Jew to turn it off. Okay, good. If someone drove a dangerously ill person to the hospital, so you drove into the hospital, you got in the hospital. Now what do I do with my car? Leave it on? If I leave my car on until tomorrow, what's going to happen? It's going to get ruined. So you're allowed to ask the non-Jew to turn off your car so it doesn't get damaged, right? Okay, let's see. If the plug of one's fridge or freezer got disconnected and one is afraid that the food within it will spoil, it is permitted to ask a non-Jew to plug it back in. Why? Because it's a substantial loss and it's only a rabbinic melacha that you're asking him to do. Shvut d'Shvut, makom hefsed is mutar. Let's say mitzvah needs, right? It's permitted to ask a non-Jew to perform a rabbinically prohibited melacha for food that is needed for Shabbat meal. But this is only for food that are essential for the Shabbat meal, not things that are going to enhance the meal, right? Let's say one who needs wine for kiddush, bread, or a main dish, you're allowed to ask a non-Jew to do a rabbinically prohibited melacha to bring it, right, to get it. But just extra stuff, extra things that are not necessary for the meal, halachically, you're not allowed to ask him to do melacha. Okay, let's say a lady needs to go to the mikveh, Shabbat, but she forgot to cut her nails. So you may ask a non-Jewish woman to cut her nails for her. Why? Because it's shvut, and for the sake of a mitzvah. Okay, let's see. Learning Torah. Let's say you're not allowed to benefit from the Melacha of a non-Jew. However, you're allowed to hint to a non-Jew to turn on the lights in order to be able to learn Torah in that room. However, other activities are forbidden to be done by the use of that light that was turned on, because shvut, makom mitzvah. Okay, what about human dignity, right? Let's say somebody's in the bathroom, he got stuck with no cut toilet paper. He has no cut toilet paper. You're allowed to ask a non-Jew to cut some toilet paper for him. Why? Because you're asking him to do darabanan melacha, and it's for the sake of human dignity, that I should be able to walk around like a clean, normal person. So you're allowed to ask him to do it. Let's say there's an animal in the house and it's bothering you, a mouse. All the ladies in my house, they're on the table, they're on the chairs, they're on the counters. They can't walk in the house like a normal person. They're scared out of their mind because of a mouse. So now, can I trap a mouse? If I trap a mouse to get rid of it, it's only darabanan. Can I ask a goy to do it? Yeah, you're allowed to ask a goy to do it because we don't have human dignity. We can't live in our house like a normal person now because of this mouse. So you'll ask a goy to go and catch the mouse. Number one, if a toilet's clogged on Shabbat and it's giving a repulsive odor, right? And you don't have any other toilet, so the toilet, you're not allowed to unclog it on Shabbat. It's considered fixing the pipe. So what do you do in such a case? Because we don't have any other bathroom, where are we going to go? We're going to go outside ourselves. You have to use the bathroom. You're allowed to ask a goy to go and unclog the toilet since he's doing a melacha derabanan for the sake of human dignity. Let's say somebody, his car alarm is going on Shabbat. It's going on and on and on and on, and there's no way of stopping it. The person has to know that you're allowed to ask a goy to go and turn it off because it's derabanan, and for the sake of people's dignity to be able to go to sleep, it's causing tremendous ruckus. So you're allowed to ask the guy to go and turn it off. Okay, good. And finally, let's go back to the last page over here, page 422. Receiving a delivery on Shabbat, and you will incur a loss, right? So let's say here. Sorry, page 421, 33. It is permitted to give a letter, a package, or delivery service before Shabbat, even if you're certain it will be delivered on Shabbat. One may do so even late on Friday, and when there's not enough time to deliver it before Shabbat. However, you have to follow the certain conditions. What are these conditions? Number one may not instruct the non-Jew to deliver the item specifically on Shabbat, or demand that the date would force the non-Jew to deliver the item on Shabbat. Let's say I give it to the goyim, and the delivery service says we're going to deliver on Shabbat. I didn't tell them to do it, so therefore they're allowed to deliver on Shabbat. But if I tell them I want it on Saturday, not Sunday, you're not allowed to do that. Number two, the delivery service has a fixed rate, not an hourly rate. Since it's a fixed rate, so it's considered that he's working for the money, working for himself. If he's doing it by hourly, it's considered my employee, he's an extension of me, and he's working on Shabbat for me, which is not allowed. And number three, you must guarantee the delivery man will be paid for his service. Otherwise, one may only send it with enough time before Shabbat, and it can be delivered before Shabbat. When ordering furniture, sometimes people order furniture, what happens? They say we're coming Saturday. That's it. We're going to deliver on Saturday. So what happens? When ordering furniture or other items that need to be taken into one's home, one should stipulate beforehand that he does not want the order to arrive on Shabbat. If the non-Jew nevertheless delivers the order on Shabbat, one should refuse the order. However, if it will cost more money to reorder, so then you're allowed to let the non-Jew bring in the furniture on Shabbat.
Sometimes they set up too. Like they're not, you tell them no and then they set it up.
Yeah, as long as you protested them, even though they didn't listen, it's not your fault. 35. Are you allowed to put out the garbage before Shabbat? My house, the garbage comes on Shabbat. They come pick it up Saturday morning. So what do I do? Am I allowed to put it out before Shabbat? It is permitted to allow a municipal garbage collection company to pick up one's garbage on Shabbat. There's no marit ayin in this case because it's common knowledge that the municipality and the homeowner did not set the collection schedule. It's the city. The garbage should be placed outside before Shabbat and not on Shabbat itself. However, what if you have construction and you have a dumpster bin in front of your construction site? Can you schedule that the guy should come pick it up, the garbage, on Shabbat? No. There, he goes by your schedule. You have to tell him, no, sorry, I don't want you to come on Saturday. A private company should be instructed not to pick up the garbage on Shabbat. Okay. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen, amen. Mazal tov, chazak, chazak, ונתחזק.